Year 1969, a year when humanity touched the moon, and when two machines on Earth broke through a different frontier. The invisible wall of sound, above the clouds, two needle-shaped giants sliced through the sky, one roaring from the west, the other rising from the east. Concorde, a symbol of elegance, luxury, and Western engineering, Tu-144, a symbol of Soviet ambition, speed, and mystery. Two aircraft, two ideologies, two engineering philosophies colliding at Mach 2. But only one would survive today. We uncovered the truth behind the world's first, and possibly last, supersonic passenger jet war. For decades, aviation pioneers dreamed of a machine that could outrun the sun, a jet so fast that passengers could leave London after sunset and arrive in New York before the night even began. In the 1950s, supersonic flight was still the domain of fighter pilots and experimental rockets. But nations wanted more than speed. They wanted prestige. They wanted symbolic dominance at the height of the Cold War. And so began a race not measured in kilometers or knots, but in ideology. The West answered with the Concorde, a collaboration between Britain and France, combining engineering precision with aerodynamic beauty. The Soviet Union responded with the Tu-144, a machine designed in secrecy, built in pressure, and unveiled with dramatic flair. The world watched, and the race for Mach 2 had officially begun. At first glance, Concorde and the Tu-144 look nearly identical: long, slender fuselages, swept delta wings, a droop nose for visibility, massive Olympus engines pushing them beyond the speed of sound. But beneath the skin, they couldn't be more different. Concorde was a masterpiece of restrained engineering. Lightweight, efficient, stable. Its engine intakes alone required more computing power than entire aircraft of the decade before every curve was sculpted by wind tunnel testing. Every rivet placed with mathematical precision. It was elegant, predictable, a dancer at Mach 2. The Tu-144 was aggressive, bulkier, louder, hungrier, designed to beat Concorde into the sky at all costs. The Soviet engineers added canards, small front wings, to stabilize the aircraft at low speeds. These gave the Tu-144 its distinctive, almost creature-like appearance. And while Concorde glided with sophistication, the Tu-144 forced its way through the air. It was a machine born from urgency, from pressure, from the need to prove that the Soviet Union could not only match the West, but surpass it. On December 31, 1968, the world was shocked. The Tu-144 flew first. 2 months before Concorde, headlines erupted: Soviets beat the West in supersonic race. But inside the hangars of Tupolev Design Bureau, the truth was more complicated. The aircraft wasn't ready. It was rushed through production, rushed into testing, rushed into the sky. Engineers reported instability at high speeds, dangerous vibrations, systems not fully tested, yet none of that mattered. The world had seen the Tu-144 fly, and that alone was political victory. Concorde, meanwhile, continued testing with caution. Its program was slower, calmer, guided by engineers, not politicians. When Concorde finally flew in 1969, it did so not with shock, but with confidence. The West had lost the headline, but had gained something far more important: reliability. June 3, 1973, Paris Air Show. The sun shines on a crowd eager to witness the future of aviation. Concorde performs first, graceful, controlled, flawless. Then the Tu-144 begins its show. The Soviet crew wants to outshine Concorde. They push the aircraft harder, steeper climbs, sharper maneuvers. And then it happens. The aircraft pitches upward violently, stalls, breaks apart midair. 5 crew members killed, 8 people on the ground lost their lives. Flames consume the wreckage. The world watches in horror. The Soviet Union blames pilot error, then a French spy plane, then sabotage. But aviation experts knew the truth. The Tu-144 was not ready for the sky. The Paris crash becomes a turning point, a fracture in the dream of Soviet supersonic travel. On paper, the Tu-144 was faster than Concorde. Tu-144, Mach 2.15, Concorde Mach 2.04. But speed came at a cost. The Tu-144 burned fuel at astonishing rates, so much that it couldn't even cross the Atlantic. It required an enormous runway. It produced deafening cabin noise. It vibrated so strongly that passengers described the flight as riding a small earthquake. Concorde, on the other hand, was a masterpiece of balance. Smooth acceleration, unmatched stability at Mach 2, comfortable cabin, quiet for a supersonic jet, long operational range. It wasn't just a plane, it was art in motion. The West had built a supersonic jet for passengers. The Soviets had built a supersonic jet for headlines. Imagine stepping inside a Concorde, soft leather seats, crystal glasses, champagne served at twice the speed of sound. You glide across the Atlantic while the curvature of the Earth bends outside your window. For the wealthy and the powerful, Concorde was not transportation. It was a status symbol. Now imagine stepping inside the Tu-144. Dim cabin lights, hard seats, mechanical rattling from the engines, a constant metallic howl echoing through the fuselage. The Soviet government tried to hide these flaws, but passengers talked. One described it bluntly. It felt like sitting inside a speeding factory. Another said, the plane was fast, but I was not sure we would land. The contrast could not be clearer. Concorde was luxury. Tu-144 was survival. By 1978, the Tu-144 was grounded. Not temporarily, not for redesign, but permanently. The reasons were many. 1. Unstable aerodynamics at cruise speed. 2. Unreliable engines that often overheated. 3. Safety concerns after multiple incidents. 4. Extreme fuel consumption. 5. High noise levels violating international standards. 6. Lack of international airports willing to host it. 7. Low demand from passengers. The dream that once symbolized Soviet pride had quietly turned into a political embarrassment. Production ended. Funding collapsed. And the Tu-144 faded from the skies. Concorde, meanwhile, continued soaring for 27 years. From London to New York, from Paris to Washington, a machine that turned the impossible into the everyday. Concorde became a legend. The fastest commercial airplane ever built, flying twice as high as normal jets and twice as fast. But even legends fall. On July 25, 2000, outside Paris, Flight 4590 struck debris on the runway, rupturing a fuel tank and leading to a devastating crash. 113 lives lost. The world mourned. But even then, the aircraft itself was not to blame. Concorde was upgraded, strengthened, restored, and for a short time she returned to the sky. Yet the world had changed. Airlines were chasing fuel efficiency. Ticket prices surged. Environmental pressure increased. The aviation market shifted. In 2003, Concorde made her final landing, a chapter closed. A legend retired. No passenger jet has flown faster since. If we measure by speed alone, the Tu-144 was faster. If we measure by headlines, the Soviets flew first. But if we measure by what truly matters, safety, engineering, passenger experience, operational success, legacy, then the answer becomes clear. Concorde was the only true supersonic passenger aircraft in history. The Tu-144 was a prototype, a political statement, a machine ahead of its time, but built without the time it needed. Concorde was not just successful, it was iconic. It didn't just break the sound barrier. It broke the barrier between dreams and reality. Today, a new supersonic age is rising from the ashes, boom supersonic. NASA's X-59 quiet supersonic, new composite materials, new engines, new technology that silences the sonic boom. Teams around the world are trying to create an aircraft that matches Concorde's elegance, Tu-144's ambition, and the modern world's efficiency. But there's a question hanging in the air. Do we want the future to sound like the past? Or will the next generation of supersonic travel be something entirely new? One thing is certain, the story of Concorde and the Tu-144 is not just about aircraft. It's about innovation, pressure, pride, competition, and the eternal human desire to go faster, higher, and farther. The sky remembers everything. It remembers the thunder of Olympus engines, the metallic howl of Kuznetsov turbojets, the flames over Paris, the triumph of transatlantic speed, the champagne at 60,000 feet, the mistakes, the victories, the dreams. Two aircraft entered history. Only one became a legend, but both changed the world. This is the story of Concorde versus Tu-144, a race beyond politics, beyond engineering, beyond speed, a race written in the clouds and remembered through eternity.